Greetings, my Legionnaires! Jimmy here, just to tell you a little bit about my thoughts with Battle Chasers Night War. Now, this is a review in progress, so it's not like our normal reviews, so I'm just going to kind of give you my thoughts a little more free-form as opposed to our more structured reviews, but I still wanted to tell you guys my feelings about it as of right now. So I've been playing this game quite a bit. I'm probably like 10 hours in or so, and I really do enjoy it a lot. It is really, really fun. And I gotta be honest with you guys, the main point of this, this critique, I guess, is to tell you about the things like that I like and don't like. And so far, there's only been a few things I don't like. But I want to start off with all the things I do love to begin. So first and foremost, the art style. This game is striking. It is definitely comic book inspired. It is actually based upon a comic book, an old comic book that they kind of resurrected through this game, which is really cool. Makes me want to go back and actually find out more about these characters. However, playing this game, I don't feel like I'm missing out by not reading that. By just kind of seeing the characters interact with each other, reading their little backstory information. I don't feel like there's too much that I'm missing out on, and I still feel like this world is a place I'm welcome in. I'm not feeling like I'm kind of intruding or I need to go read a bunch of information to enjoy it. And I really like how the world feels. It's very, very inviting, and it also feels very lived in. Everywhere you go, from the overworld map, which is just such a cool looking kind of like kind of old school, almost kind of parchment-like when you're running around and you kind of run into enemies. But then when you get into the actual fight, seeing the actual animations of the battle, just excellent. Everything in this game is just so cool looking. Now, let's get into the actual combat here. Now, the combat in this game, at first, looks pretty basic, I think. There's like, at the very beginning, you have a few moves that just like attacks or kind of defense that you can use to charge your overcharge, which is basically like extra mana that you can have, so that way you don't have to burn into your mana pool. And then you have your abilities which pull upon that mana or that overcharge. And then you start getting things like burst, which is like super or finisher moves or big kind of flashy moves that you do like a cool little cutscene where you show like the eyes of your character in like a cool comic book way. And then they rush in and do something amazing and either help the team out or really hurt an enemy. And honestly, not one bad animation in this whole game so far. Like, everything looks so good. Every character, how they stand, they all look like their capes will be flowing, their hair is going in the wind and all of that. And there's all these little effects happening all the time. And all the monsters are really, really cool. I recommend if you are playing, just take a second, stop, or when your character is up for a turn, just take a look at the actual enemy you're fighting, because there's so much detail. It's so gorgeous. I really, really dig it. And another really cool thing about this is that at any time, depending on if you've killed enough of these things or not, even if you haven't, you can pull up that information during a fight or when you're out of fights to see the enemy type, kind of a little bit of backstory on them, what they are, where they are, maybe on like the hierarchy of their clan or whatever they are, and then maybe find out potential weaknesses, which is really cool. And then you can rotate the models, and that is amazing. Like, this game's got a ton of that, which is really, really nice, especially if you're equipping like a new weapon to your characters. You can kind of spin around and look at them and be like, oh, that's really cool. I wish they would have had the ability to, when you change the armor out, that you could see that on your character. It doesn't really seem like you can do that, but that's a very, very small nitpick. However, the battles feel really good. I highly recommend, if you're playing this on a PC, to use a controller. It does have controller support, and I highly recommend you do that because this is so much better, you guys, with the rumble feature. If you have a mouse, if you have one of those that has that built in, good for you. Congratulations, that's very nice. But if you don't, grab an Xbox One controller or whatever you have to do, because the feedback is so good. Every hit feels powerful and meaningful. And it's so much fun to figure out the synergy that your characters have with one another when you're building your teams. And I just really enjoy it. And at first, when they started kind of doling out the abilities, you kind of get, like one every level or so for a little bit. But then I was kind of like, oh, you don't have skill trees. But you do have 2 skill trees for every character, kind of more of an aggressive one and more of a defensive one. So you can still kind of customize your characters that way. The dungeons themselves are procedurally generated, which is really cool. So if you go and complete a dungeon, then that is actually different. So if you go back, which you can go back and redo dungeons on harder or higher difficulties, then you can go back and it's not the same dungeon, which is nice because that way you're not kind of bored saying like, oh, yep, I have to go here, do that, go here, do that, go here, do that. So I really appreciated that. The voice acting, pretty solid. I like it. The music's great. There are definitely things in this game that you could tell they had some Kickstarter goals, like they added like when you rest at an inn for the night that the characters kind of talk back and forth to one another, I think, and that's a really nice little thing. But you can tell that this game, obviously is at it's at $30 right now. You can get it for like 26, 27 bucks on Steam, and it's not a full price game. But I think for that money right now, for me anyway, because I'm a huge fan of this team, they made Darksiders. I absolutely love it. It's really good. So for me, that was an easy purchase. I just was like, when I played it, I was the first time back at PAX West. I was like, oh gosh, I really want to play this game. So I've really been enjoying it. I've really been digging it. If you like old school RPGs, it definitely has that flair. If you like Final Fantasy X specifically, kind of that battle system where you can kind of see your character's portrait and how they're going in turn. I love that sort of thing, or like Lord of the Rings, The Third Age. That is another good example of that, but that's what this game has. So if you like old school stuff like that, you can really enjoy it. If you're a newcomer, it is really easy to get into, and they add the layers on so slowly, but they also feel meaningful, so it's not like you're like, oh man, I've known this mechanic for so long. You're always getting little things here and there to add on to combat and learn how the debuffs and work and buffs and how all these things play off one another. So I recommend it to old school fans and newcomers alike, but that's just me. And a review will be coming out whenever I actually finish the game and kind of get into it more. It's getting a little bit tougher, so I've had to grind out some things, which is totally fine. But yes, let me know if you guys have played Battle Chasers Night War. If you're interested in playing it, I want to know in the comments down below. If you want to help us out, consider liking and subscribing to the channel if you haven't already. But if you want, you can also just share this with a friend. That helps as well. Also, if you want to support us even further, check us out on patreon.com/criticalreviews to see how you can support the Legion and get some cool art that is actually kind of similar to the stuff you see here in Battle Chasers from the one and only Yoran Evers. So thank you guys so much, and remember to adapt and overcome.